flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, jumping on there.
Thank you very much. This evening, the sad news is Hank Moratsky, who was the principal at San Marin High School, the original principal at San Marin High School, has passed, and we're going to adjourn the meeting this evening in his honor. That'll be at the end of the meeting, but I just wanted to let everybody know here at the start, well, we have a larger audience, that will take place. And we're going to link the obituary that was published in the Novato IJ to the Novato Unified School District website, so people want to go and review his huge contribution to the Novato community can see it there. So with that said, the next item on the agenda is item 6, which is actions taken in closed session, and our clerk and vice president will report those actions. Diane, you want to take it?
Sure. So with respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, conference with legal counsel, pending litigation, Coalition to Save San Marin versus Nevada Unified School District, Marin County Superior Court Case number CIV 1702295. The board provided direction.
Thank you very much. The next item 7 is we have to approve the order of business. We've published the order agenda on the website. It's available. We're now going to approve the order in which we're going to take the items. So I'm asking for approval of the agenda for tonight. So I need a motion and a second from the board members.
So moved.
Moved by Debbie Butler, seconded by Julie Jacobson. Second. So now I need a motion to accept the order of business for tonight's meeting. All in favor? Maria, are you voting? I see you. 7-0. Yes, I see you. Thank you. Thank you very much. The next item is public comment on the consent item. We've already taken care of that. Yep, pardon me. We have comments. We have one comment, public comment on the items under our consent agenda. Do you want to read that out publicly? Stand by.
Okay, not this topic.
Okay. So we have no items to speak to the consent agenda items. So I'm going to take them. Is there anybody who wants to pull consent items? Trustee Butler would like to pull.
Yes, I want to pull, and I'm pulling them because I will be recusing myself, as I have been, from our grounds maintenance and operations project. So this is items 14G, H, I, and K that I would be recusing myself from. So we could take those up if there's nothing else that's being pulled. You know, if you want to do them right now, we can.
Okay, we'll take them up immediately thereafter. So are there any other items to be pulled from the consent agenda? Otherwise, I need a motion from a board member for all items on the consent agenda, item 14, not including item G, H, I, and K. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Nell, seconded by Trustee Mack. So there's a motion on the table for all the consent items except B, H, I, and, no, pardon me, G, H, I, and K. All in favor? So 7 in favor. Marie, do I see your vote? I see 7 in favor. Opposed? None. So those pass. Now I would like to take up the items G, H, I, and K that Trustee Butler is going to recuse herself.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to pass consent agenda items G, H, I, and K.
And a second? By Trustee Mack. So with a motion on the table, I will take a vote to support items G, H, I, and K consent agenda. All in favor? So 6 trustees are in favor, including Marie. Do I see your hand? Marie, okay, I see her hand. And then opposed, and then abstain items. Trustee Butler abstains from this vote for G, H, I, and K. So we've completed the consent agenda for this evening's work. student presentations. Conveniently, Superintendent Costa, do you want to introduce the school for us this evening?
Sure. We're thrilled to have San Ramon Elementary School here with us tonight. We're going to see a little video, but before we do, we're going to hear some words from Principal Amanda Langford. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, everybody. Good evening, trustees. Thank you for having us. It's always exciting when we get the opportunity to present to the community and share a little bit about San Ramon. This year, one of our VLA classes, Jen Cabot's third, fourth grade combination class, put together a video to demonstrate, even though we are in remote learning and she has a VLA class, what it's like to still follow and work on our 6 C's, especially highlighting a few of them: conscientious learner, critical thinking, and communication. So with that, we would like to share with you some of the learning displayed at San Ramon.
In a different way, and I can show you. That's right, on a computer. It's just learning in a different way, and I'm all right with that, because all learning in different ways, like, you can learn in any way. And this is my map of California. This is my key, and this is my compass. This is my California region map, and this is the coast, the yellow over here, and the desert as blue, because the desert needs some hydration, and it needs more water. I have my compass rose at the bottom. I did, I labeled Oregon, Nevada, Mexico, Arizona, and the Pacific Ocean. It'll be pretty hard to see it, but as you can see, I colored everything for you. California, Native Americans, coastal people. Okay, so we made a paper bumper coaster during science class. And we're supposed to get these 3 marbles to the end. I'll show you. Hi, this is my alligator coaster. And I'm going to be showing you how I get the ball into the end with the alligator's mouth. That one. Transform energy. Let's try for you guys. Very good. Yay! Science to be learned to build houses and make houses windproof. Strong my houses when I blow the wind. So I hope you enjoy this. Well, it flew away. So second try, I used paper clips. 2 paper clips attached to one equals all of it. So this, I attached the body to the roof. And same to the other side. I'll show you how that works. That's my house, right? So here's how it works. These the animals, if they went on land or water, I thought very good because I could tell that any with like feet or wings or both would be on land. So I put these 3 up here, as you can see. Hello, my name is Emily, and for the report, I did a cereal box. Now we're going to show you. So the characters are Dink, Josh, and Ruth Rose. And then on this side, well, right here it says A to Z Mystery Detective Camp, and hid a chest under the bed, one of the bunk beds, I think that's what it is. And there's a chest, and then they have to find the key.
The summer slide. I was at the top, my hands white from gripping the metal bars. Then I slid down the water slide, sloshing against the sides. With my brain bouncing at each curve, I was both scared and very happy. As I rounded the last curve, I spotted the clear water. I held my breath, and before I knew it, I was in the liquidy substance. It was cold compared to how hot it was outside. My splash had sent water up my nose, and it really stung like more and more excitement. I needed to recover from the thrill, so I swam to the side and then speed.
The poem is called Thankful. I'm thankful for a family, my mom, dad, and Caleb. I'm thankful for the food on my table. I'm thankful for my pets, Lulu, Gibbs, and Timmy. I'm thankful for my toys, even if they're mini. I'm thankful for my friends. I miss them a lot, but COVID-19 has planned a very evil plot. We are all thankful for something. You just have to look, for your thankful mind is just like a book. Happy Thanksgiving.
This is Jax, and I'm going to do Theseus and the Minotaur. And I'm Theseus, and I'm going to do the best action best scene in the movie.
Why did you want to write the Babysitters Club? Because I thought it was a cool idea, it to be interesting and kids to like it. Welcome to Jerome Horowitz Elementary School. Meet George Beale and Hale Attentions. And the amazing Captain Underpants. To a boy named Ron Weasley. Ron said, "Hi, I'm Ron Weasley." He said, "What's your name?" "I'm Harry Potter." "What? Harry Potter?" "Yeah," said he.
Hi everybody, it's Janelle Adore, and today I'll be sharing with you how I answered these math problems. So I'm going to do this one right here. So, it is 458 times 4. The 4 times 8 equals 32. 4 times 5 plus 3 equals 23. 4 times 4 equals 16 plus 2 equals 18. Your answer should be 1,832.
But it said 4 posters ripped. So 47 minus 4 equals 23. Another way to do PEMDAS is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And I actually have an aunt named Sally, which is funny.
Solve this rectangle that's 7 feet long and 4 feet in width. The area equals A.
Correct. How many posters are left? So let's figure that out. So it's 9 times 3 equals 9 plus 9 plus 9 equals 27. So that's 27.
Hi everybody, for my math problem I'm doing today is I did expanded notation method using the same steps as the place value sections.
What I'm going to share with you is this math problem. And the math problem is how you get the area of 7 feet and 4 feet. And we're going to have to times that. So it's going to be 7 feet times 4 feet, and it equals 28 feet.
I enjoy learning and math. I like learning about the coast of Miwok, and I like my math book, and I'm looking forward to learning more this year.
VLA class makes me more responsible because I have to organize my work and organize my math and language arts.
Hi everybody, VLA challenged me a lot because I'm always independent now and teaches me to be responsible about my work now, and I hope you guys are staying safe. And
the VLA Google Classroom has allowed me to be safer during the virus and also see my family more, which is very nice. It also encourages you to be more responsible for your work because you're not in a classroom, so you got to make sure that you're paying attention and that you actually do it.
VLA class encourages my creativity by helping me think of a lot of details for my work, art, Flipgrids, and projects. VLA class helps me communicate with my teacher and classmates so I can feel connected to the school and my friends. VLA class encourages my thinking by Miss Collada always gives lots of examples so I can be creative and well thought out in my work. VLA class makes me more responsible because I have to manage my time to stay on task. Okay, and that was my silver lining sharing. I hope you enjoyed, and bye. Yeah. Bye, guys. So...
Okay. Amanda, are you going to speak to us, or is that it?
I mean, that's pretty much most of it. You know, we, as a staff, and talking about our board presentation, we wanted to just highlight how hard the teachers are working and have had to really reinvent education. Yet at the same time, these kids are extremely resilient and working through really challenging times, and they are learning and making progress, and they are engaged. You know, it's not an easy task, and we're just thankful for all the community support. And Teacher Jenica Boat's here if you guys have any specific questions.
Oh, great. Thank you. It's Jennifer Cabal. Is that correct? Did I pronounce your name correct, Jennifer? Did I? Cabal?
Hi, good evening. Yes, Jennifer Cabo.
Cabo. Oh, pardon me. I managed to mess it up. Okay. Do you have some comments, or I can ask? The board has, well, I'm sure, has questions. Board?
I'm just incredibly proud of all of my students, and you know, they're showing up every day. I know many of the families are really appreciative of the DLA program the district has set up. It's created a safe space for many, and the students are working really hard and showing up every day and trying new things. And you know, there's times I feel like a one-woman band. I've become a curriculum developer, a product manager, a tech support, a recording artist now, you know, web designer, all at the same time, keeping the students engaged and learning and growing. And I'm just really proud of all of my students.
Good. So I'm sure there's some questions from board members. Any? Well, I guess I get to ask my, first of all, congratulations. The hard work of staying in the background and letting your students shine. It was just amazing. It's great to see the learning going on and the enthusiasm they've brung to the task. On one hand, I'm lucky you. On the other hand, what a great deal of effort you've put forward, and we'd like to thank you for standing on the front line of this very difficult time and making sure Novato kids are getting a fair break. And credit to your principal, who I know backs you up every day. If there are any other comments from board members, if not, what?
Can I just...
Julie? Yep.
Yeah, hi. Can I just say thank you so much. You've clearly kept your students so engaged and excited about the content, and it was beautiful to watch what you've done, so thank you.
Thank you so much. I honestly, I had hours and hours and hours. I could cut it down to a 12-minute video. It was incredibly hard.
That's great. Any other comments? If not, Superintendent Koska, we'll move on to the next item then.
Yep. Thank you
Okay.
so much,
Thank you.
Jennifer and Amanda, for being here tonight and for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is comments by board members, and we will start with our student board members. And has Elizabeth joined? Do I see Elizabeth? I don't.
No, I just texted Ellen.
Okay, so maybe we'll give her a chance later. Eva, would you like to go first?
Sure, yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Good to be back. I hope you all had a good break. We just started our second semester classes last week, and everybody's kind of just getting accustomed to the new schedule, but so far, so good. We are doing Galileo testing on Wednesday, January 20th. We have a whole bunch of applications due February 1st. For leadership, Avid, and Land Crew. And Emerson and NCP just have their applications due January 6th. And next up, this Friday is National Bagel Day. And we really wanted to show our support to the small businesses right now. So we are working with Redwood Bagel, and on Friday when students go, they can get $2 off if they spend $10 by showing their Novato High ID or school schedule. And this Thursday during lunch, wellness coordinators are hosting the first part of the wellness series, where students focus on meditation, setting intentions through artwork, and just having a safe space to talk and to express themselves. And after the events at the Capitol last week, we wanted to create a safe space where students could share how they're feeling and get support through the school. So their dates are posted on the Instagram and I believe on the Novato High website, but they're going to have an anonymous Google form where students can just write and talk about how they're feeling. And they're also going to be having lunch conversations with our wellness coordinator, Amber, and she's just going to be there to support and talk with students. So that's all the announcements, but I did have a quick question. I know that SROs have been a really big topic for a while now, and we're just wondering if there's any updates on the plan that was proposed a few meetings ago.
Yeah, so we're working with staff currently on developing the content for the lessons that'll be shared with the students at the different high schools. And so that's really the big first step. And then we'll also be doing the community circles as outlined in the plan. But we don't have those dates just yet. But we're working on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Jada? Welcome, Jada. It's nice to see you, and welcome to this exercise. Yeah, you want to tell us about your school activities? And your voice is a little soft, so we'll see if we can fix it here, but talk up a little bit.
Before the holidays, a generous donor gave each of us students a gift card for $150, a warm lunch, and a blanket. It was a nice way to go into the holidays. Everett Oaks, we had 6 December ratchets. This semester, we implemented ethnic studies assistant principal and counselor had her last day Friday, so we're working with Miss Early and the teachers regarding our new schedules. And we hope to have a new assistant principal and counselor soon. We have all school assemblies twice a month to help keep us connected during this difficult time. During the assemblies, we get important information and also play games like scavenger hunt, where the winner earns a gift card. We have full after-school remote enrichment classes offered, such as photography club, chess club, champions group, Marin Youth Against Domestic Violence, music production class, culinary class, and more. Beginning this Friday, we will all be taking the individual assessment to learn more about us.
Great, thank you. And did I correctly, Jada, did I pronounce your name correctly? Yeah, thank you very much. I think Elizabeth has she?
Nope.
Nope, we haven't seen Elizabeth. Okay, so we're going to skip that and we will go down to the trustees. So I'm going to start with Trustee Jacobson and go next in line. Trustee Jacobson, you want to tell us any comments?
Okay, we're going in reverse order today.
Well, just to trick you up. Yeah.
I'm ready. Since we last met, I attended the MCOE Public Health meeting. I met with all three of our amazing student board members. We're really lucky to have them in this group and in our community. I went to a Not in Our Town Novato meeting, and I met with the principal and assistant principals at Novato High School. One of the items that we talked about there was the implementation of the student conversations about SROs that Ava had asked about. They have 75 11th graders from each of the high schools participating, and Michelle Cortez got feedback from leaders in our community so that the conversation topics could really be vetted. And they are using a lot of teamwork, and they want transparency, and they're very excited to get started. So it was really informative to hear about that.
Trustee Nell?
No comments for tonight.
Thank you very much. Trustee Mack?
I'd like to share my thoughts on Mr. Morosky. He was my principal way back in the late 70s. Thinking back on all the administrators I've worked with, I'm hard-pressed to find anyone better than him. He's a very solid person, very caring person. At the same time, he wasn't a pushover either. And I think back in that time at San Marin, same with Shelley as well, our former trustee. She and I were both there at the same time. And he ran a really tight ship. At the same time, he allowed us to do what we do. So really going to miss him. And also, we need to honor the fact that a lot of the San Marin culture, original culture in terms of green gold, that's all him. And frankly, I kind of knew about that, but seeing him confirmed a little bit was kind of neat. And also hearing about talk about a great community person. He was involved in his community all the way through, and so were his kids. So really want to honor him. I think he's a great asset to our district. Beyond that, I also attended the MCOE Public Health hosted by Dr. Willis and Lisa Santora. And my big takeaway there was I was really encouraged by the role that, and this is Dr. Willis saying this, the role that schools are playing in limiting spread of COVID. How, in fact, kids, we do better having kids in school than we do when they're not in school, because they're in an environment where everything is controlled and managed properly. So really encouraged to hear that, and also that we're in the forefront in the state in doing that. So that's wonderful news. And then yesterday, or was it yesterday? Sorry, earlier this week. The CSBA review of the budget. Very encouraging. Lots of more news to come on that, but very happy to see that tax revenues aren't nearly as bad as we thought, and Governor Newsom has some ideas on how to help us out, along with the federal dollars coming in. I know there's a lot more to be discussed on that, but I'm encouraged. That's it. Thank you.
Trustee Butler.
Same as some of the other trustees, I listened to the Marin County Office of Ed and the Marin County Public Health Community Conversation, and attended North Marin Council PTA, and then listened to Governor Newsom roll out the 21-22 budget.
So I guess one of the downsides to being almost last is I pretty much, I think, hit on the same things as you guys. And I concur. I recognize and appreciate that we have access to information from our Marin County Public Health. They are on different forms. So I wasn't clear, but I did the two. I kind of got overdone with the COVID stuff this week, or last week. The county town hall too, that they did. So I did that one as well. And I also, virtually attended the CSBA webinar, and so that was helpful because I know it's information that comes all at once and people processing it and trying to figure out what does it mean for us here in Novato. So, and then I wanted to acknowledge and appreciate, or say, I appreciate that Superintendent Koska goes to the North Marin Council PTA meetings. I think that helps because we constantly have information, new details about this and that. So it's helpful because that's a way to then convey out to the parents and community. And as somebody in that parent community, every day I find that there's something I need to know and understand, and it helps me keep on track as well. And although I still have nightmares that I forgot my daughter at school because she only goes from 8:20 to 10:20, and I have nightmares I picked her up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which I hopefully will eventually happen. But I also wanted to add, I know that a lot of our community, as this has gone on, is struggling, and we're, a lot of us are hitting different places of, we've had it. This has, gone on for so long. And so two ladies, Molly and Whitney, are putting together a community closet to support families at San Jose Middle School. They're doing a donor choose collection platform, and if you would like to help with that, you can reach out to Molly Brown, MOLLY Brown at NUSD.org to get information on how we can support kids through that and families. And I think that's it.
Thank you very much. Only comment I have is the governor has released his January budget, and everybody's studying it at great detail, and there's good news in it, but there's also portraying a potential risk going forward. This district is going to absorb it and understand it best, and we'll have a report from Yancey at some future time. Superintendent Koska.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple things I wanted to touch on. One is that we have, we're trying some new technology tonight. We're continuing to try to improve these meetings to make sure that, since the public can't be here, unfortunately, because of the size of the room and the number of people that we already have here and the number of folks we have supporting us in this meeting, unfortunately, we still can't have guests. And we've heard that there have been issues in the past with sound quality. So we're trying some new things with microphones tonight. I understand there have been a couple of sound-related challenges tonight. I appreciate you hanging in there with us, wanting to be here for these meetings. Hope you appreciate us continuing to try to improve, whether it be the way we accept public comment or whether it be the fact that we're here together in person, or whether it be as we navigate the different technological challenges that come with this. So I thank you for your patience and support. Wanted to talk really briefly about the COVID dashboard that NUSD released at the end of last week on Friday. We've released a dashboard to try to be transparent about what's going on our school campuses as it pertains to COVID. So as we have COVID positive cases, as we will continue to have through winter and into spring, and hopefully that'll be near the end of it. And we want to make sure that our community knows what's going on our campuses. So we will be reporting, we'll be updating the COVID dashboard every Thursday afternoon to make sure you know that where we've had COVID positive cases, whether they be student or staff, and on what campuses. So, this came about as a result of the community asking for this data. And so we want to make sure that we're being transparent with the community about it. So with that, I encourage you to check it out at our NUSD website. You can search COVID dashboard and it'll turn up for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. So the next item on the agenda is
Hey,
the
Ross.
yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Maria.
Oh, Maria, pardon me. Maria, I'm sitting here studying the agenda. Pardon me.
That's okay. Just wanted to also say that I'm sorry about the passing of our former San Marin principal, Hank Morosky. I'm glad that we're recognizing him, and he deserves a lot of respect. I attended the Bowling Bell meeting, and the location is still, we're planning for it to be virtual with the possibility of in-person event, but right now we're just focusing on that. The music will be done by San Marin High School, so we're really excited about that. And just want to say stay safe and keep positive.
Thank you, Maria, and I apologize for, I'm sitting here looking at the list of items. The next item on our agenda is a non-agenda public comment. This is a chance for people to speak to issues that are not agendized, and I believe we have 4 comments. So do we have them in person, or are we going to read email? They're coming up on the Zoom session. Oh, great. Hey, do you want to take over and let them?
Hello?
Hang on. Lori Johnson, I see
Yes.
your name. Okay, please. 3 minutes.
So my name is Lori Johnson. I'm a Novato community member, and I'm requesting that the Novato Unified School District eliminate the SROs in Novato, because I think there should be more focus on preventative resources.
Thank you. Is that your 3 minutes?
That's it for tonight. I have more for later.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate your to-the-point comments. Thank you very much, Lori. We have 3 more? Hang on, we're just being methodical here.
Hi all, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
We can't.
Hi, I'm Nevada School Board and student trustees. My name is Emma, and I'm calling in to support the community's call to remove SROs. I'd like to echo the call that Lori just made to focus on preventative resources instead. But I'd also like to share tonight a quote from the ACLU report that is titled Bullies in Blue, Origins and Consequences of School Policing. The quote reads, "Police are police, and in schools they will act as police, and in those actions bring the criminal justice system into our schools and criminalizing our kids," end quote. I just thank you for reconsidering the issue of SROs in Novato. Please continue to look into the concerns raised by students of Novato about the presence of armed law enforcement on their campuses. And if you would ever like additional resources about the issue of SROs, please feel free to reach out to community members and anyone who's in the group Police Free Schools Marin. Thank you for your consideration. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Emma, and speaking to the point clearly. Thank you very much. We have 2 more comments, I believe.
And then there's more people.
Oh, more people. We'll have a few more. It takes a while for each person to get signed in, so we'll get to everybody, we're just going slow.
Hi, good evening, Council. Do you mind restarting my time? I just signed on here. Thank you. Perfect. So I want to voice my support for the removal of SROs from school campuses. I guess I'll just talk a little bit about a personal experience that I had as an educator and having to deal with a student who had a mental health crisis. I was a graduate student at USC. I managed a chemistry lab there and regularly interfaced with undergraduate students. I was in my office one day, and it was graduation day, and I looked across to the building across from mine, and I saw a student standing on the roof, apparently contemplating suicide. In an area of the roof where just nobody ever goes. It's not a place that you can climb up to easily. On a pitched roof on both sides made of terracotta tile. It's not a safe place to be. And standing alone on the edge. So, unfortunately, guiding students received very little to no training about what to do in one of these circumstances. So what I did
called campus police. The campus police arrived after me. I had to show them where the person was. We got onto the roof. We couldn't see whether this person contemplating suicide was there on the roof, but the police officer decided to act extraordinarily recklessly and started to climb on the terracotta roof and slipped and fell into me and almost knocked me off the roof. Now, I talked to a health professional after this, and I learned that so many things that went on with that interaction just were not correct when it comes to intervening in health crises. And I also learned that campus police officers only receive at most 1 or 2 weeks of training to deal with mental health and counseling issues. It was an experience that really shocked me, that these police officers are given so much parole on campus, and they have the capacity to really, by making a simple mistake and not having the correct training, destroy people's lives. So I am strongly voicing my concern and my emphasis that we need to remove SROs from campus.
Thank you, Alex. Next speaker.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, Katie.
Okay. I'm also here to address SROs and the educational unit. It was just mentioned briefly that so far the only action that's been taken or that you can update us with is that you're collecting resources. And I just like to stress that it's pretty imperative that you're collecting resources to share with your students, but resources that are informed by BIPOC voices and accounts. Because we've heard and seen the white facts of how SROs do their job. We all know that side, and it's time to amplify the more pressing matters. You had a presentation for us last time we met about this, and it was full of basically propaganda, explaining how important and vital the SROs are. Then there was one slide with information directly from Police Free Schools Marin. And while I'd love to say that that's great because they have incredible resources, one slide should not be the only representation. I agree that students need to understand what the issue is and why we're bringing it up, but priming your student body to the facts by misrepresenting the severity of the issue is a huge problem. Through all the data that's been given from districts who have given districts, it's evident SROs negatively impact all students. Nobody feels safe, comfortable, or like they have a strong relationship in them. That should be reason enough. But obviously the issue is deeper than that. SROs being glorified cops, literally an institution that originated to keep Black bodies as property. They perpetuate racially motivated profiling and disproportionately affect students of color. So it would be great to see you guys making some movement on this issue. There's not a single thing a resource officer does that brings safety to our students. They do the exact opposite. So please, let's just do one thing to finally try to make schools a safe place. And let's start to represent the whole issue at hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. We have two folks who have not.
Okay. So to be clear, there's two other people online who have not stated they want to speak to the non-public comment, non-agenda public comment item. So, and one has a specific agenda item they want to speak to. Is that a correct statement? Yes. So one, we're a little bit confused. What?
No, I have two. They're both non-agenda public comments.
Oh, they're both non-agenda public comments. So are we ready to hear the two? Okay, we have two more speakers. Pardon for all the technology shuffling. It's just trying to make sure people participate in the public process. Okay.
Hi, I think, yeah. Hi, Novato School Board. I just wanted to come on and voice my support for the removal of SROs, like all the other community members who have hopped on tonight. Just some feedback on the program that you're launching. I think that it's really imperative to center student voices and opinions now, rather than just purely after you give them your version of what SROs are, how they act on schools, whatever that may be. It should be important to hear what they think based off of their own experience and not from what teachers or people in authoritative relationships have told them about it. And also in that everybody experiences them differently, as this is a racial issue. So to center students of color and how they feel about police and school police is really vital in getting feedback. Like, not everybody has equal weight when it comes to certain things, and other marginalized voices like students with disabilities, etc. So thanks for hearing us out, and I'm gonna keep following up on how this goes.
Zena Monroe, thank you very much for your comments. And we have one more speaker. Two more. This is magic, through the magic of addition.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Jeremy?
Oh, perfect. Hi, my name is Jeremy. I'm a former student and a community member. I'm here requesting that you eliminate the SRO program as well. I'm just here to talk a little bit about my personal experience. I also, when I was in school, had struggled with mental illness and never really felt comfortable with the SROs around. It's not somebody that you tend to go to when you seek help. So instead of focusing all that time and attention on providing protection from students, maybe channeling that into getting counseling so that you're able to understand what the students need, and that they feel comfortable going to you to ask for help and assistance. Because that's, as I've grown up being more comfortable with myself, I've been able to reach out for help, and that's really helped me. So just wanted to put that out there. So thanks for the time.
Thanks, sir. One more speaker.
Hi, my name is Vivian. Thank you for letting me speak. I'll just keep this brief.
I just wanted to add my voice to everyone calling for the removal of SROs in schools. I am a student here in Marin, and I'm also, I hope to be a teacher one day. And when I think about the kind of school that I want to teach in, it's one that doesn't involve police at all, or that kind of punitive justice. I think that policing as a whole is an institution that we've seen has done so much harm, and it's not one that can be redeemed. And yeah, I just agree with everyone else saying that we need to center counseling and different types of justice and accountability in schools, and as well as centering the voices of students of color when we're reimagining what that looks like in schools. So thank you.
Are we, have we,
Hang on 1 second.
oh, wait, hang on.
That's office.
Thank you. That's the end of the speakers for non-agenda public comment. Thank you all for bringing your issues to the board. The next item on our agenda is that we're moving into discussion action items, and the first item to be discussed is approval of the grand jury report, mental health issues, and Superintendent, you're going to introduce Jen Larson, is that my understanding?
Yeah, so Assistant Superintendent Larson, happy to have you talk with us about the grand jury report.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Larson. I have the privilege of serving as our interim assistant superintendent of education services. I'm here tonight to obtain board approval for NUSD's response to the Marin County Civil Grand Jury Report. This year's grand jury report was specifically in our schools. Just in summary, in response to feedback from NUSD and educators and professional mental health professionals from across Marin County, the Marin County Civil Grand Jury put together a report in which several findings and recommendations were brought forward. All of these recommendations and findings were in support of meeting an increased amount of community and county-wide services to ensure that we have the capacity and the resources to respond to the growing number of mental health concerns we have in our schools. In our response to Marin County's grand jury report, Nevada Unified School District does agree with all of those findings that are listed within the report. In addition, we've had the opportunity to respond to the recommendations. The 4 recommendations, 2 of those are, while they have not been completed countywide as of yet, we can say that Nevada Unified School District has already implemented and moved forward in that direction. The other 2, Marin County has not yet been able to do countywide, but Novato is currently underway in bringing those to implementation as well. And so with that, I'm here to answer any questions specific to the report and provide any information you may need.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Assistant Superintendent. Questions from the board? Trustee Butler.
I just have a comment just to clarify that this report was only, as it says on the first page under objective and approach, that this report is limited to the county's 8 comprehensive public high schools. So this doesn't encompass all of our schools, and mental health is something that's a focus on all of our schools and all of our students. So there were some limitations to this report, and I just wanted to highlight that.
I think important to note that one, this report was very broad to include all of Marin County, not Novato in general, and 2, that it did focus on the high school, whereas Novato has taken a TK 12 and even adult education approach to our increase in mental health services.
Question?
Yes.
Maria, go ahead. You can go first.
Me?
Chris Aguilar, you want to speak to this issue?
Oh, yes. No, I just wanted to clarify, but it is, but now tonight, if this gets approved, it would include Novato schools. Correct?
This simply is approving our response. Novato schools, our high schools, were a part of this study. This is simply Novato's response to the findings that the grand jury put into their report. That it did include Novato high schools.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Christy Gaston.
So I just wanted to highlight 3 things as I was reviewing the report, and I thought it was interesting that things very specific to what we're doing here in Novato. And the first one was on page, I think it says 5, that it highlights that the district had planned, meaning us, Novato Unified, to hire additional therapists if a measure to extend and increase the parcel tax had passed in March 2020. So I thought that was an important acknowledgement that, you know, we were trying to find funding for additional mental health services. And then the wellness on page 10, it was talking about our restorative practices and working towards circles of collaboration with the school resource officer, because I think that's a new concept that I've had to adjust to as a parent, and I really appreciate that we are doing that. And the final thing that they had highlighted, I think I just missed. Oh, the other thing I thought was interesting aspect of this, which didn't immediately come to mind, but was the whole idea of the newcomers and people coming to our schools from other places and not having that ability to, they're in new surroundings, they may not speak the same language. And so that Novato Unified is specifically identified on here as having 2 district-wide newcomer coordinators to support the population. So when we're talking about what do we do at the district office, that highlights some of the things that we are doing to provide additional services to our students and community. And then the final thing I wanted to say was just more of a question, because as I was going through this, the response that we did, I just was interested, we only had to respond to the F sections, and then there's additionally responses to ours, and I just didn't know if there was a thought behind. I mean, it's great, we did extra, we provided extra information, but.
Jen,
I'm not sure that I understood the question. So we do have responses to both the findings and the recommendations. Were there specific ones that you were looking at?
Had to, in the report, it said we just had to respond to F, not R. So, I mean, again, I don't mind the extra effort, but
Historically, we've responded to both the Fs, the findings, and the recommendations. And in this case specifically, it was a good opportunity for us to share with you and our community some of the resources we have in place, despite some of the limitations that we're hoping that we can pull coordination together with some of our partner schools in Marin County.
thank you very much, Riz. And I thought it was timely that we just got from the California School Board Association, I think it has a whole section on this, and it highlights a lot of the things that were found in this report. So obviously this time a lot of kids are having a lot of additional challenges being during this pandemic. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other, Trustee Mack?
Jennifer, forgive me, I'm just going to dovetail into a little bit of the public comments in terms of, there's a lot of comments that we just heard suggesting that we put more resources toward mental health. And I'd like to just kind of clear the air on that, because I know the answer, but I think we just need to state it for the public so that when the public makes comments, they can actually know this. Can you clarify to what extent any of the funds for SROs can be used for any of the objectives stated here in the mental health report?
So currently, and I think that Chris may be able to respond as well. A great deal of that is grant funded, and that grant comes with very specific purposing, as does a great deal of a lot of our other money that we are able to put towards this. And a good example of that is our current restorative practices, coaches, and TOSAs. A significant amount of that is also grant funded. And when we apply for a grant, typically those grants are very specific to a program that grant is tied to, or that organization is tied to. While I can't speak to the full cost of SROs, I do know that a large portion of that is specific to a grant for SROs.
Yeah, so currently 100% SRO position is funded via the grant. If we were to try to redirect those funds, we would need permission from the Department of Justice to be able to reallocate them for a different purpose. And sometimes the granting agencies are willing to do that, sometimes not. Oftentimes it depends on what their funding source was for the dollars, and if it aligns with that particular funding source.
And I'm asking the question, asking and answering, because I just want to make clear to everybody's asking all these questions, why don't you just move more money into mental health? We'd love to, but we can't. Need to take that up with DOJ. Yeah. So anyway. Thank you, Jen. Sorry to jump in on that one.
No, of course, and thank you for clarifying what percentage. And again, that is why we have acknowledged our need for mental health response, but certainly prevention and programs that are going to do a great job of evidence-based prevention for our students, TK, up through the grades, and identifying grants, which our coordinator of prevention and our coordinator of multi-tiered systems
report are perpetually in seeking, in the process of seeking, so that we do have funds that are specific to exactly what we're hearing recommendations for.
Thank you, Trustee Mack. Any other discussion items? This is an action item for us.
And we do have some public comment.
We have 4 public comment. Good, thank you.
Maria raised her hand too.
Oh, and Marie, do I hear, Marie, or do you have any comments before we go to public comment?
Maria, your comment?
Maria, you're on mute.
I was just saying after the comment. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So for public comments, we will go through the process of having those people appear. So it's a little slow, so here we go. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Lori Johnson again. I wanted to talk about this grand jury report. We all know good mental health is a significant factor in students' ability to learn. That was stated in the report. Instead of spending TUPE money, I don't think TUPE comes from DOJ, it comes from the CDC, and the Novato City Council money on SROs, that money could be used for wellness spaces that have bilingual therapists, which NUSD has none. And NUSD has the most, from what I saw in the report, the most English learners in the county. Without CROs, like at Novato High, oh, wait, sorry. I ask you, why would any student seeking mental health in a wellness center? Oh, yeah. An SRO is sitting in the wellness space in Novato High, and I can't believe that a student would want to go in there and ask for help when there's SRO in there quite often, from what I read. Restorative justice should be programs that don't need SROs to be in attendance. We need bilingual therapists, and we need therapists with degrees so that they can help the kids. I really think that asking Novato City Council to change their money towards SROs, and hopefully the next TUPE grant, you can ask for that money to be used for therapists, not SROs. Sorry, I'm nervous. Thank you. Any questions about my comment? I have 1:25.
Well, I think we're good. We're going to move into the next comment.
Okay.
And then the board will have additional chance to ask any questions. Thank you. Marie, we have 3 more public comments before it's, I will call on you. Ellis?
Hi, my name is Elias. I'm gonna speak briefly on the mental health problems that SROs cause for students, and especially students of color. So when I was in 3rd grade, my Marin primary class was visited by the local police department. The police brought the canine unit, and they also had employed a black man in baggy pants to portray a criminal. In front of an all-white school of about 200 white students, they demonstrated how a black man running from a police dog would be tackled and mauled. As a mixed-race student, what I saw was a simulation of someone approximating the appearance of my father being chased down and mauled by a police dog. The white children and teachers at the event all applauded. This experience is just one example of why, when non-white students see police uniforms, a gun, a badge, and a bulletproof vest, it causes real anxiety and stress. The presence of law enforcement calls to mind a collection of traumatic experiences that include lived personal experiences and events seen in the media, such as the murder of George Floyd. The simple fact that non-white people see a reflection of themselves in the faces of those experiencing police violence around the country means that a police presence generates huge amounts of anxiety. And when that anxiety happens at schools, it makes things like concentration and learning very difficult to impossible. I also understand that some folks believe that non-white people's fear of police is unfounded. And while I don't personally agree with this idea, I am hoping that people who do believe this are still able to see that whether or not fear of police is unfounded, the anxiety generated by the police presence at schools is both real and harmful. I have a profound concern for the safety of our children at school, and I hope folks hearing this will consider the importance of non-police alternatives to safety on schools. Thank you.
Thank you. We have two more. We're waiting for the next speaker.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Emma?
Yeah, that's me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, perfect. Hi, my name's Emma. I commented a little bit earlier, but I wanted to comment on this item as well. Something that I've been thinking a lot about is that when youth are experiencing mental health challenges, they need a calm, supportive, non-judgmental person who's trained in trauma-informed crisis intervention, who can support them through the situation and assess their safety. Something that I think many community members would agree on is that youth do not need armed law enforcement in these moments. While the grants that fund the SRO officers in Novato are decided by the DOJ, it's important to consider the role of all law enforcement officers on school campuses and the impact that might have on a student's mental health. Many of us are calling in today, or at least I can say for myself, I'm calling in today twice, to speak on the issue of law enforcement on campus and to make the point that although that money can't go toward the therapists and the counselors we'd like to see in Novato, we can cut the SRO program because of the negative mental health impact it has on many students who see armed law enforcement officers and experience stress or outside triggers from experiences they might have had outside of the campus or experiences they might have had on campus. So I urge you to consider the role of SROs as a negative impact on students' mental health when you're discussing how to move forward, given the Marin Grand Jury's findings. Thank you.
Thank you. One more speaker? Okay.
Hi, just wondering what my time limit is.
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. So I'm here representing ICE Out of Marin, a grassroots organization that is the Marin branch of ICE Out of California. And I want to talk about the mental health crisis in schools as laid out by the Marin Grand Jury, and specifically about how it affects Latinx students in the Novato School District. And the mental health crisis for all students is not the same. Latinx students are traumatized when they see uniformed officers, especially because there's a large portion that live in members. And this presence of uniformed officers is undoubtedly trauma that's being dished out to them, additionally to all of the trauma that they've experienced as undocumented people. And this is all in data and studies that's available, and hopefully we'll have a chance to deliver that to this board. We'll see. But essentially what I want to say is that the Novato School Board has an opportunity to be the board that removes this trauma and removes this attack upon Latinx students and undocumented students, or will be the board that actually just drags their feet and continues to allow generation after generation of Latinx students in your school district to be traumatized when we know they have not made campuses safer, they have not prevented any school shooting, they have not improved the mental health situation in schools. All of the things that the grants say that they should do, they don't do. So it's really a simple choice. Are y'all going to be guilty for prolonging this, or are you going to join all of the school districts across the country and the state that will undoubtedly rip off the Band-Aid? I doubt in 10 years that campus police will be existing in the majority of California schools. So I just would strongly advise you all to get with the times and do it quickly and rip off this Band-Aid, or really be in a terrible position where you will be upholding the institutional racism that is traumatizing Latinx students. So I think y'all are at a crossroads. You have an opportunity here, and it's time to do the right thing. The longer you wait, and I just think that y'all have waited a pretty long time if you consider that Police Free Schools has been contacting you for about 6 months now. So, you know, the Black Organizing Project in Oakland did this for 10 years, but they got it done. And so this movement is not going anywhere, and it will only get larger and larger if you continue to oppose it. So please do the right thing for Black and Latinx students and undocumented students in Novato and remove this trauma and attack on students of color. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibar. Any other, so Maria, you had some comments with all our public speakers have spoken?
No, I just wanted to make a motion.
Sure.
That we approve the Novato Unified School District's a response to the Marin County Civil Grand Jury Report.
So we have a motion on
Reading,
the,
writing, and therapy, mental health challenges in our schools.
we have a motion on the table.
Mr. President,
We have a second
I'm
by
prepared to
trustee
second the
Mack.
motion, but I do have a comment I'd like to make.
Okay, so we have a second from trustee Mack, and then trustee Nell has some comments.
As well as.
As trustee, Jacobson. So we'll take comments from trustee Nell first, and then trustee Jacobson second.
I think it's important to acknowledge that we're talking about a very, very broad subject that has a large impact on all of us, quite frankly, but the focus appropriately is on our students tonight in this response. And I'm not a big fan of outside agencies sticking their nose in our business and telling us what to do, which in the past I've been critical of the grand jury, but I do understand its purpose, and in this particular case, I appreciate the grand jury's efforts in trying to get the county to recognize the seriousness and the broad-based issue around mental health in our culture today. And I think that the response is fine. I think what it does is it points out our strengths as well as our weaknesses in this particular area. And I certainly don't think we're doing enough, but I think what limits us are resources. If you look at the response, I didn't count the number of times where it says, if funding or resources were available, we would do this. We plan to hire therapists, we would do that. As a lot of things in public funding, money comes with strings. It's attached to certain categories and things that need to be done as per the funder's instructions. And so we're obviously more than willing to take funds when we think we can make use of that money locally. But I want to just acknowledge that this problem is broad-based and it has a lot more to do with education and overlap with, we've heard a lot from school resource officer concerns tonight. One of the things that we might want to look at is the Marin Office of Education list of training. And these are the things that we should be talking about. We're talking about, trauma and the resilience of our students and our administrators, but all our employees have to deal with the same situation. We got issues around social and emotional support, trying to teach children how to build connections, suicide prevention. This ought to be the number one thing we should be talking about. I appreciate the concerns that we're getting from the public tonight, but we really need to do more to reach out to young people who all too often make a permanent mistake in this particular area, and we should be proactive about this with all of our young children, regardless of race, wealth, education, creed. So as I seconded the motion, I support the response, but I think the board is in agreement that we're going to try to do more, but we're going to focus on as much of it as possible and do the best we can. But we need help, and that could come the way of partnerships and other funding, but money doesn't grow on trees, and time is limited, especially when you're talking about a childhood. So I just think that the focus ought to be broader than just on one particular granting source and service that we provide in our schools. So it's my
comment. Call on trustee Jacobson next, but before that, student trustees Jada and Eva, I hope you'll have some comments. to participate in this campaign discussion after Trustee Jacobson has some comments? So I will call on you next.
Okay.
Yep.
So I agree very much with what Trustee Nell just said. We have to find ways to make headway here. Mental health is extremely important, and I know NUSD has a focus on a holistic approach of children and equity and how that can impact kids in the mental health realm. I do want to say from a fiscal standpoint, I appreciate that we have made some community partnerships in using interns as a way to bolster our current staff. And I hope that we can find other ways to continue that because we do need resources and you know, the more we can do that, the better. Thanks.
Thank you. The student trustees, Ava and Jada, do you have comments you'd like to offer?
Sure. I do agree with everything that was just said. I do understand that resources are at not at a point where we would like them to be, but that doesn't mean that kids aren't feeling this. Like they aren't going through severe depression, anxiety, nameless other mental illnesses. And especially since COVID and everything, all of the circumstances right now that everybody's under, it really amplifies this. And even though we might not have the resources right now, I think we need to work harder with the resources that we do have to provide even more support, because I know that the district is capable of that. But I definitely don't see enough support for students. It's gotten better as for high schoolers, I can say, since at least at Novato High, since the Wellness Center has really been working at supporting students, but there needs to be more, even if we don't have the resources money-wise, just doing as much as you can involving teachers and staff. Yeah.
Jada, comments? Jada, do you want to make some comments to this issue? You're talking and we can't hear you. There's a technical issue. Mute. Maybe is your mute button on?
She's not muted.
No? We're checking to see what the issue is. Try again.
I think if you turn off your camera, it might help the audio connect better.
Yeah. Well, she can hear you.
I could barely hear. Try again, Jada, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I was agree with what was said. I think that mental health is very important, and I think it's important for students to know, especially at a time like this, where everything over Zoom and they're like detached from other people, that there are resources for them and that they have a place to go if they need to talk. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We're going to move to a vote. At this point, going forward on these action items, my goal is to make sure we ask for advisory votes from our students, student trustee members, as well as votes from the board. And the legal requirements are the elected trustees' votes count towards the adoption, but on the record, we will record the students' vote so there's a record of where we stand in terms of student participation going forward. So on the item that's before us, which is the approval of the grand jury report for mental health, I'm asking for all in favor and with a raise of hands. And student trustees, Ava, I see, Jada, I see are both yes. And in terms of the trustees in the room, I see 6. And Maria, I see a positive vote, and I'm voting yes. So 7 members of the elected board votes yes, and the 2 students present vote yes, and Elizabeth is not present at tonight's meeting. Thank you all very much for this item. We're going to move to the next item. Approval of resolution number 14, pension reform for the state level. Trustee Costa, do you want to lead us off?
So, I know that at the Marin County level, there's been a lot of discussion around pension reform. This is something that's been a great challenge for our state. This is something that's impacting each of our public entities, particularly our public schools. And Trustee Butler, and part of her responsibilities has been working with a committee on pension reform resolution. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Trustee Butler to talk a little bit more about it.
Okay, thank you. There is some background information on the cover sheet there of just why this is being presented this evening, why I'm involved in it. I do sit on the Efficiency and Effectiveness collaboration with the county, Marin County Office of Education, which is made up of trustees across the county and superintendents. Last year, 2019, fall of 2019, we were talking about pensions and the impact on our school districts, not just in Marin County, but across the state, and the burden that it's been put on us and financially. And we decided to form a subcommittee from that group. So on that committee is 5 trustees and 1 superintendent on this subcommittee. And we started the work prior to entering COVID, so we had some ideas of how we were going to ramp this up and the conversation and educate. And, we were seeing a lot of articles and letters to the editor and reports being published about pensions and the impact, and there was just some misleading information out there, so we thought, let's just start with educating our community and our trustees here in Marin. That's at least we could do. So as it states in the report, a Marin Voice was put together by the subcommittee in May of 2020 called Understanding School Pension Liabilities, Key to Fixing Problems, and it was more of a report just to, again, to educate what our responsibility as a board at school boards are and districts, and just some information about CalPERS and CalSTRS, which is there's 2 pensions for school education. So things got changed up with COVID coming on board. Some of our plans kind of switched up a little bit. So like I said, we did the letter to the Marin Voice piece, and then we decided we were going to do a forum for the county to bring the full conversation, to have the community and trustees and do a full forum. That kind of changed again with the COVID. So we decided the next step was this resolution. So this resolution is really just to inform and bring awareness to all Marin County districts that pensions need to be addressed, beginning here at the district level and the county level, and just in order to elevate it to the state level. So it's really just elevating the conversation is what we're trying to do. And we're trying to get as much bandwidth as possible to support this resolution. So we have this pushed out to all districts in Marin County to look at possibly passing the resolution before you this evening. And when you think about the state, I want to add that the state is well aware of what districts are facing with the burden of tackling the increased pension costs on our budget. But nothing is really being done at the state level. They continually talk about it. They know that something needs to be addressed, but all they keep doing is kicking the can down the road and putting the burden on us. Senator McGuire, which is our senator here, and Assemblymember Levine are well aware of it, but again, it's another, but they're not tackling it. They're well aware of what we're faced, but nothing is being addressed. It's a big thing and a big undertaking, and nobody really wants to tackle it. So what we've sorry, I lost my train of thought. So presented this evening is this resolution. I can quickly go through it, just some highlights, and then I'm going to turn it over to Yancey, and he is going to do a presentation, Yancey Hawkins, our Assistant Superintendent of Business and Operations. But in the resolution, I'm sure we've all read it, but just some highlights. Down at the 4th, 5th, and 6th whereas is just some impacts on what districts are faced. So I just want to highlight that school districts and employees required pension contribution rates are set by CalPERS and CalSTRS Board of Administration, respectively, and school districts cannot control and change or negotiate CalSTRS or CalPERS pension benefits of any employee. Still, school districts cannot negotiate reductions to their pension obligations. So those are just some things that our hands are tied when it comes to what we're being faced here. We don't have control. And then we get into a lot of statistics that we just wanted to provide some facts. The following whereases on that first page are just some statistics before you. And then on the second page, just some hurdles that why we're somewhat in this situation. There's been some optimistic investment returns, insufficient actuarial predictions, and other uncertainties that CalSTRS and CalPERS have faced. And 1 in 5 years return on investment falls below the 7% average return required to meet its existing obligation. So there's just some downfalls there in what we're faced with right now. So I just wanted to highlight that. I'm not going to read the resolution. So a lot of work has been put into this resolution, and I know before I turn over to Yancey, before you was put at the board table, each of you got another copy of what the original resolution was, kind of like the overall resolution that was put together. And the difference is, and Trustee Nell is also bringing this forward, is what we want to look at, is the green portion on that copy that was put at your board table this evening. Is the green portion, and the highlights of that is Governor Jerry Brown's 12-point pension plan. And I will have Yancey talk briefly about that as well, if he can do that. It's from October of 2011 when that was presented by Governor Brown. So really, we wanted to take this resolution, and it's really what each district wants to do, and how so they can add this green portion if they want. I had basically turned that over to Yancey and Chris and kind of talked to cabinet and kind of review some of that. So our recommendation was to bring forward this resolution that was in your board packet, just as it is, just a nice clean version. Again, is to create this, elevate the conversation. We can do more. We can do more as a group across the county. So I will turn it over to Yancey and have him do his presentation.
Thank you, Trustee Butler. All right, I'm going to share my screen.
Let me see your screen. Pension reform at state level.
Yeah. Are you seeing the slideshow version or the prep version?
Correct version. Yes.
The full version. So I'm good.
Good.
All right. All right. So I'm going to go over an overview of both the PERS and the STRS system, and very specifically their impacts to NUSD. Some of the changes that have happened over the last 8 to 10 years, as Trustee Butler noted, and their impacts. But I do want to start with a couple of key points. Are number one, that the school board does not have any say over the benefit level or the rates paid for any of our employees' pensions, STRS or PERS, and I'll look at that on each as we get into each one. And the other is that the state has not provided any funding directly related to these increases to school districts over the last 8 to 10 years. We have two types of employees in the district. We have certificated employees and we have classified employees. Our certificated employees are our credentialed employees. So our teachers, our counselors, our principals, et cetera, are all typically members of the state teachers retirement system, or STRS. It accounts for about 75% of our overall district salary. And those benefits and rates are set directly by the legislature. The funding of that is by contributions by employers, employees. The state puts in a portion as well as a large chunk noted in investment earnings. The unfunded liabilities for the state teachers retirement system statewide was $106 billion. It's 66% funded as of June 30th, 2019 at their latest actuarial report. In 2014, the state approved and the governor signed AB 1469, which was a 30-year funding plan to fully fund the state teachers retirement system. As I noted, the funding is primarily through employee, employer, and state contributions. This funding plan to fully fund STRS increased employee contributions from 8% to 10.25%. It increased employer rates from 8.25% to 19.1%. You heard that correctly. Over a 10% increase to employers. And then the state increased their contribution from 3% to 8.8%. So what is the impact of that on Novato Unified? The impact on an annual basis of the STRS funding plan and the increase employer contribution is $4.4 million annually. So to put that into perspective, that would be about an additional 40 teachers that the district could employ, if not that impact. So the non-certificated employees or classified employees are all of our non-credentialed employees. So that would be most office staff, custodians, transportation, finance, myself. That's approximately 25% of the overall district salary. And it's a little bit different than STRS. The retirement benefits of all classified employees in the Public Employees Retirement System, or PERS, is set by the legislature similarly to STRS, but the employer rates are set directly by the PERS board. And those are set annually by the board. And instead of rates set by the legislature that we get in advance, we get estimates that are given to us by the PERS board every year. Also, a little bit differently than STRS, the state does not make any contributions directly on behalf of to PERS for school district employees. The unfunded liability of the schools pool only, so this doesn't count the entire PERS, this is only the schools portion, is $31 billion. It's about 69% funded as of June 30th, 2019. In terms of its impact on Novato Unified, the employer rate back in about 2012 was 12%. That is projected to increase to 26% in 2026, 2027. So a 14% increase, over doubling our PERS costs in that 15-year period. So what's the impact on Novato Unified? That impact just through 2020, 2021 is an increase of approximately $1.3 million annually. And to put that into perspective, that would be about 25 additional classified employees on NUSD's campuses. Overall, between the two, we're looking at our contributions being just under $4 million towards our state retirement systems in 2013-14, increasing to over $10 million as of this year, and over about a $6 million increase annually for the two. One last piece after Trustee Butler noted the Governor Brown's plan back in 2011 There was pension reform after that. In 2013, there was the California Public Requirements Pension Reform Act of 2013, known better in school circles as PEPRA. It basically sets two different sets of employees. Employees that were hired prior to January 1, 2013, they're known as classic members, as well as anybody hired after January 1 of 2013. Those are considered PEPRA members. Basically, the new system reduced benefits levels for anyone coming into either system after January 1 of 2013. It impacts both PERS and STIRS, and it does a couple other things around pensions in terms of putting caps on total pensionable compensation, no more purchase of what we called airtime or purchasing service credit, as well as requiring a 6-month cooling off period after retirement to limit those who were what people call double dipping. All right. With that, just kind of in summary around the things that I think are really important is that the school district is seeing significant impact of these reforms and especially the increase in rates. And to be clear that nowhere in your slides did you see that the NUSD board has any authority to change those retirement levels and benefits or the rates that we pay. We simply have to deal with the impact of those. And I think that's a reason why Trustee Butler and the board is considering this resolution, is to get more eyes on this and to truly see the impact that it's having on school districts. So with that, I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Questions for Yancy?
I don't have any questions, but I have some comments.
Do we have any public comment? We have one public comment. So can we have the public comment, please?
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So my name is Mariah Fisher. I am a drama teacher at San Jose Middle School, and I'm also the president of Novato Federation of Teachers. I'm here tonight speaking in opposition to the anti-pension resolution. I ask that you reject this resolution for the following reasons. First, did you know that 72% of CalSTRS members are women with advanced degrees making less than their peers with equivalent degrees in the private sector? This pension reform greatly impacts strides women are making to try to gain equality in the workplace. CalSTRS members rely on this for their primary retirement benefit, as many members who also paid into Social Security only receive a significantly reduced payment as part of federal law. Attacking CalSTRS or reducing the potential benefit further harms our members. We are in the midst of a pandemic and a shortage of educators, and in one of the most expensive counties in the state to live in. A strong pension is vital to recruiting and retaining quality educators. This resolution will make a serious problem even worse by turning more people away from our profession. Public employees stay their entire careers because of pension benefits, and we must do everything in our power to ensure the continued strength of this benefit. Attacking teachers in the midst of an out-of-control pandemic and a teacher shortage when some schools are not able to reopen is not the way to create a future where California can safely and effectively reopen our schools. Some people believe that taxpayers fund the total cost of public pensions. This is not true. And CalSTRS, 75 cents out of every public employee pension dollar is funded by CalSTRS' own investment earnings and member contributions. Yes, reform of some sort needs to happen, but reform needs to include educator voice. Restructuring of our pension should include our voice on the team. It should not happen at a time when we are working triple time and many of us taking home salary that is less than we took home last year. And I also have a question, Yancy, about slide number 3. if it's possible to take a look at that slide. I'm confused by the small footnote on the bottom where it says that there was less taken out for the 2020 and 2021 school year. It says state brought down rate for 2021, 2020, or 2020, 2021, and 2021 and 2022. But then on the top, it says employer rate increased 10% over 7 years, 2020, 2021. I'm wondering what that date means on that slide.
Is that the end of your comments?
Yes, it is. Is it possible to get a question since it's not a non-agenda public comment?
We respond after we have the rest of he has other questions coming from the board.
Okay, great, thanks.
Comment? Okay. So, Neil, you had some comments that you wanted to
Can I
offer?
ask it before we go, just because she confused me. I don't see us changing anything here. I just saw that this resolution identifies.
Okay, so when Trustee Nell finishes comments, then I will ask you to.
Okay, because
address
I
the
just
question.
am, she's just thrown me off because I don't
Okay.
think that I did not get the impression that we were making something, we're not changing anything. It's just an
No, we're just
acknowledgement.
acknowledging, yeah.
Right.
This
So
is
let's
not-
let Trustee Nell finish his
Yeah.
comments and then
Okay.
I
Good
will
point.
ask for
Yeah.
your.
Good point, but
Okay, Trustee Nell?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to reiterate the purpose of the resolution. I too am confused by the characterization of the public comment. However, I do think it's important that everybody understand the information on the report. So if it's okay with the board, I'd like to ask Yancey to explain the footnote on slide 3. I think it's important because it's related to one of the whereases on the resolution. So, Yancey, are you
able
to answer speak to the question?
Yes. So the footnote, sorry, I was having a little technical difficulties there. Yeah, the slide 3 is very directly noting what is in the Assembly Bill 1469 that was passed, which statutorily changes the STRS rates. As I noted, the legislature is the only folks with the authority to change rates. And so those rates increasing employer contributions to 19.1% are still included in the law. But in the 2019-20 state adopted budget, the legislature chose to use $3 billion of one-time funding to buy down the pension rates that school districts paid for 2 years. That was amended in the 2020-2021 state adopted budget. Originally that had been bifurcated 700 million to short-term buy downs of those rates and 2.3 billion to long-term buy downs of those rates. That was updated in the 2020-2021 budget to use the entire $3 billion due to the COVID pandemic for short-term relief in 2020, 2021, and 2021 and 2022. The note was there to be clear that the statutory rates will revert to the 19.1% as approved by AB 1469 in 2022-2023.
Trustee Nell, did that answer your?
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to have you all on the resolution. I know they're not numbered, but if you were to number them, but the very first, be it further resolved, specifically addresses that this board and through this resolution will be requesting of the state legislature and the governor to continue to buy down the pension liability numbers that is set to not expire or not be included in the 22-23 budget.
Which whereas are you?
Yeah, if you'll, on your copies, you gotta have to, I like to number these personally, but it's
You said
the,
it,
page 2 is the very first, be it further resolved.
I think it's in the green.
That header
No.
specifically speaks to the lack of the governor's budget and the legislature offering up more funds to buy down the rate that we'll be paying, which is what Governor Newsom had done in a previous budget. But due to COVID, he has other priorities, and so this resolution is basically asking them to reconsider that aspect. So just again, this resolution is to be informative, to be sort of specific, and to put forward requests to have the state legislature and the governor address this issue that continues to grow. So that's specific to that.
So my understanding is on page 2 it says, be it further resolved that the board supports continuing increased state contributions to buy down districts. That, are you saying keep that or?
Yeah, I'm saying keep that.
Keep it, okay.
Yeah, but it's actually in the.
Yeah. So, but it explains that footnote on page 3.
Right.
And it also counters the public comment that somehow there was an attack on the pension system. I think essentially what I wanted to do tonight was credit the Efficiency 2 Committee. Our former president, Trustee Butler, who was a member, worked hard with that committee to come up with this resolution, and I think she cited the reason being is there's a lot of confusion over this issue. The issue keeps getting larger and larger and has a bigger and bigger impact on us. And so what we hear from our constituents are, what's going on? Why is this a problem? Why is it sucking up all the money? Why can't you pay your teachers more? Why can't you spend more money on mental health? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? Because this particular expense keeps growing exponentially. I think the chief financial officer mentioned the huge increase in our budget. So getting back to what the Efficiency Committee wanted to do was get the word out on this particular issue. And they came up with a solid plan to get information out into the community and to do their best to explain things. And this particular resolution is designed to give each individual school district their particular numbers and percentages. The resolution was later brought to the JLAC committee, which is the Joint Legislative Action Committee, which I am a co-chair on. And we also took it up and analyzed it, and we think it's a great idea for each and every school board to discuss this issue. And what you guys have before you is the official recommended resolution. But what I wanted to point out was, as a result of the committee's meeting, there was additional information that the committees want school boards to know about. And because this issue was theoretically fully addressed back in 2011 under Governor Jerry Brown's 12-point plan, the legislature at that time said, we're only going to adopt half of it. We're going to create PERPA, which our CFO talked about, the 2 different classifications of employees. But over the 9 years, the plan has not worked. So what some of us would like to do, because when we go to Sacramento and we talk to our legislators, I think Trustee Butler mentioned this earlier, is they say there's nothing you can do. They'll either say there's no problem or you can't do anything about it, it's too big, and they want us to ignore it. But we're down here in the schools talking to our parents and our community members who have no intention of ignoring this problem, and they want us to say something. So again, credit to the County Office of Education for putting together the Efficiency Committee and the JLAC Committee to come up with this resolution, which is going out to all of the school districts in Marin. And it's going out as the recommendation that you have in front of you, but it also comes with some additional recommendations and ideas. And the purpose of the additional ideas that we wanted to discuss, if a board wants to offer up solutions, these are the solutions that are recommended by people who have been working on this particular problem for decades. And again, it's very complicated, but if you would like to see further steps than the single be it further resolved that asks the governor and the state legislature to spend more taxpayer dollars on buying down the margin. I don't know if everybody knows what a margin call is, but essentially It's just more money into the pot to keep it from going out of control. So I think that this board should consider adding to the recommended resolution 2 further be it resolves that bring back the 6 points that were not enacted in Governor Brown's plan, along with some additional ideas that have been brought forward that could, in fact, work when it comes to bringing this particular problem under control. The CFO, our CFO mentioned that the state is about $31 billion behind. They're currently trying to amortize this deficit over 30 years, but they didn't take into account COVID, earthquakes, other economic disasters, and they're rapidly falling behind in their ability to keep up with the liability, which is going to force us to have to pay more and more. I predict that 25% of our budget is going to be paying down this liability in the coming years. So we need our state legislature to act, and it's my intention is just to explain that a little bit more to this board and have them add the additional, and ask them to add the additional content to the recommendation that we're considering. So that's I'd be happy to answer questions too, but that's what your joint legislative action committee wanted you to do. The language that's optional was also put forward by the E2 committee as things that each board should consider on an individual basis, because we have a serious problem, folks, and it's only getting worse.
So before I turn the floor over to Trustee Gasson, I understand you made 3 points. One is you like the existing whereas, or the be it further resolved to support increased state contribution. You like that. And then you're proposing adding 2 additional be it further resolves, which are in green ink on the document that we've provided at the table as an alternate. Is that
that is correct. I would like the board to consider that.
Oh, okay.
As a possibility.
So we're going to go to Trustee Gasson, who has the floor next, and then we'll continue the conversation. Trustee Gasson.
I actually think Trustee Nell did a good job explaining to me a lot of the history, and I suspect what I gather that might have happened is Mariah Fisher may have gotten some of this additional, because this seems more, the green part seems to imply more of a restriction.
Right.
So that maybe is what the disconnect was. So I appreciate actually all that information that you just presented. So I'm fine. I just, when someone says something and I can't follow it, it's hard for me to follow information after that, which is why I appreciate that.
If you need more of a clarification, we'll do whatever.
I would describe the green part as specific answers to what our state legislators asked us to do. They asked us, what do you want us to do? What should we do? And this is what our response is.
Okay. So is there other conversation? And then I think we need to specifically look at those 2 items. And before we do that, I'd like to, is there other comments from trustees? I'm going to ask, the recommendation from staff is for a certain frame, and I would like to have staff explain why they made that choice to recommend to us as part of this conversation.
Yeah, this was not to hide anything, to not bring anything forward. Trustee Nell spoke to, we presented this at the JLAC group, and so they saw the full resolution, and then we said to boards, it's really entirely up to you on how you want to bring this forward to your board. We understand that there's certain things that might be controversial, or might raise eyebrows and stuff. So me bringing this to our board was the version that I'm recommending, is that version. So I totally understand what Trustee Nell is expressing here, and
I'll verify that. It is actually the version you are looking at is the democratically elected recommendation from the 2 committees that go with the version that you have in front of you. I'm bringing up the additional part.
Okay. So when you say in front of you don't mean the green print, you mean...
I don't. Yeah, that's right.
The recommendation.
The recommendation.
The staff recommendation.
You have in front of you is the official recommendation. I'm bringing up the additional points and perspectives and asking this board to consider them, as I believe other trustees are doing with their boards around the county.
Okay. Before we take the next trustee, I'd like the staff to have a chance to speak to why the recommendation came forward in the form it's in?
Yeah, we feel like as a staff, we all acknowledge that there's a problem with pensions and the ongoing district contributions to pension reform and the impact that's having on our programs and all the different topics that have come up tonight around resources and our need for extra resources. I would suggest that either we move forward with the staff recommendation or we make this a much more significant topic. I think for the board to consider adding something like those 6 bullets in green, you need to understand what all of those mean. If we were to add those, I would be 100% in agreement with NFT President Fisher that we would be taking significant action and advocating for significant changes to the retirement programs for people currently in our system, working in our system close to retirement, far from retirement. And I think that before the board could take that sort of action, you would really need to understand what each of those 6 bullet points meant for our classified employees, for our teachers near retirement, for our superintendent and our executives in the district. And then based on that knowledge, make an informed decision. I feel what we have in the absence of those 6 bullets, I feel like we have something that isn't as strong as it could be because it doesn't say specifically what we need to do to fix the problem except for pay more money. But it does call out a number of important facts. 1 being that we don't have control over the contribution rates. 2 being this is significantly impacting our ability to operate as a system. And 3, it's severely impacting our ability to meet the needs of our students because we are forced to pay into a system that that the state has lost control of. And really one of the ways that they lost control of it was when it was in the good old days when stock market returns were very, very high and they didn't keep the contribution rates up at that time. And there's lots of old stories about how we got into this problem. The reality is we have a big problem. This resolution is calling it out and saying, state, we need you to help us. I think if we go beyond that, it's going to take a significant process to educate the board on what each of those bullets mean so you can be thoughtful in which you decide to include or not include. I'm comfortable either way.
So you're proposing that either we adopt it as staff recommends, or if we think that's inappropriate, that we take it off the table and go through an education process and bring back a revised document at a future.
Yeah. I think it's important to reiterate that the recommendation is not just our staff's. They're bringing forward the recommendation of the 2 committees. I'm bringing forward the optional language. It was the intention of the committees to have these discussions, but we could not agree on what the final resolution would be other than what staff brought forward. And I think what we heard was pretty much the arguments for why the resolution is the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's the value of a public meeting is these tough public issues are, you know, the Marin Novato community can listen to the conversation.
Exactly.
So, Marie, you're at a distance. Do you have any comments?
No, I'm looking at it here. Thank you for sending it to me, Trustee Nell. And I'm just listening to getting ideas and see what is best.
According to the same protocol I did before, I'm going to ask for advisory votes from the student trustees. This may be an area where you choose to just not have an opinion, or you might. I mean, this is one of those things that are maybe take some more study than you've had a chance and haven't had to reflect on it. So if I ask you for an advisory, I'm not demanding it. I'm offering the opportunity, just to be clear. I think we're back to the table and we have to have this conversation. Without any, I mean, does somebody else want the floor to speak to this, or should we just go around and I'll ask everybody their 2 cents, because we're gonna do something in here in a few minutes.
I'm comfortable with what has been proposed
By the staff.
By the staff. I think this is a heavy lift for even to get to make some traction at the state level, but we have to do something, and we thought as a county-wide effort, And even if we get countywide, we can even reach out to other counties and say, hey, we're doing this resolution. Because I think this is unprecedented, this resolution about pensions, and saying this needs to be addressed. It keeps getting put on. This is not about taking anything away from our teachers. And that's clearly stated in the beginning of this resolution. We clearly respect our teachers and our staff, not just teachers, but everybody. And this is not about taking anything away from them. And but something needs to be done besides putting this burden on the backs of districts. Okay. So that's why keeping it kind of clean as the resolution as is. And so that's my thoughts.
Trustee Gasson, I'm going to call on everybody. Just you can pass if you want.
Yeah, I'm still processing it all. I totally 100% with the original as presented. I thought it offered a lot of information that I think is important. I'm still trying to go through. I think Superintendent Koska is correct if we were going to look at these, because I don't understand all of these additional elements. I'm fine if we want to look at that. So I guess I'm on either side. I don't have a strong opinion on either.
Trustee Matt?
I'm torn as well, but I'm going to lean towards staying with the original language. Reason being that it points out the problem, which is the main issue right now, and not just to Sacramento, but to all our parents, our teachers, our union members as well, just the whole community. So we can make crystal clear this is a problem that we cannot control, and it's killing us slowly every single year. 40 teachers we could be paying with this money. 40 teachers, 27 classified personnel. Let's just translate that to percentage raises. I don't know, but someone can do the math. That's pretty good money. And it's all going toward this unfunded mandate. I don't mean to sound like a politician, but that's what it is. So what I think we need to be doing is more raising the issue, which we're doing in the current proclamation, but not be prescriptive, because that's not our job. And I'm not trying to duck it. But that's the Assembly's job and the Senate's job to figure out how to fix this problem. And granted, yes, there are some bullets in there that list it out, but I do think that we're trying to do their job to a certain degree, and there might be other things they can do as well. But I do think you're right. They need to be held accountable for the things they said they'd do, and they never did. But that said, I think I'm okay going with the original resolution the way it is, and then we keep fighting. To Trustee Nell's points.
Trustee Jacobs.
I think that, so it's stating the obvious of what the problem is. The use of that is that we can use it as a tool to ask legislators to cover this cost instead of us carrying the complete burden of it. That's useful. I do agree that having something tangible tied to it is important, but I don't think it can be these things the way they are. Like lowering long-term rates of return projections, obviously that's smart. If we change the way we project, that will help us long-term. But the other things in here, I don't think that we should dictate that today.
So you would accept the language as proposed originally by staff?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'm the last trustee to speak. Maria, did you have any other comments? Otherwise, I will. Marie?
Yeah, would it be okay to bring it back, to have more time for staff and everybody else to bring back as a second draft?
My intention is to get this done tonight, either as is, or if it's not as is, then we can bring it back. But I think that's what's before us, that we adopt it as is tonight. So sure, you guys can choose to do that. So I'm going to speak. My view is we need to raise this issue, and what's been proposed by the county gives us the platform to stand on. I think getting specific can come later. I disagree with some of the specifics. I think it's down in the weeds. I think it makes it weaker, not stronger. I think we need to stand in our policy position, and the original, as proposed by staff, does that. And I would accept, I think we should adopt it as recommended, because I think it takes us forward. I think delaying this and dragging it out for more conversation disserves the goal of getting this in front of the legislature so they can address it, because I think the comment was made, that's who has to solve this problem, and I think that's exactly right. I don't think we solve it. So I just want to hang the albatross around their neck as best as I can, and I think the original recommendation does that. So I would support a motion to adopt the original recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Trustee Butler is going to move the original motion.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion, but I have a comment.
Thank you. Trustee Nell seconds the motion, and then we'll take comment. Trustee Nell, you have a comment.
So I appreciate the conversation tonight, because essentially it was the objective of our committees, was to stop ignoring this issue and to start talking about it. I really respect the comments from Trustee Mack that this is a problem that needs to be solved in Sacramento, and they need to stop dodging the issue. So with the rejection of this language, in a way, essentially, we are doing just that. We are saying it is a problem. We want you to address it, and no, you can't dodge the issue by saying we don't know what to do, tell us what to do any longer. So for me, it's a win-win to support the resolution as is. This issue is not going away anytime soon. It took us 30 years to get into this. It'll probably take us 30 years to unwind it. So having said that, I'm prepared to call the question.
Okay, I'll move to call the question, and then first we get an advisory vote from the student board trustees. Ava and Jada, you're welcome to make an advisory vote. You may choose not to if you're not familiar with the topic.
I don't think I am prepared to vote.
Okay,
on this
thank you.
issue. I don't think I understand it fully.
Okay, well, somebody will sit down with you and explain at some, it takes a few years to kind of understand this state finance stuff. So happy to do that. That's an opportunity to have that conversation. Jada? Trustee Jada, are you intending to vote?
I don't I don't think I should.
Okay, that's your choice. There are important issues where you guys are the most informed, and sometimes you're not, and that's absolutely okay. So the vote for the trustees and the 7 trustees, all in favor, and Maria, I'm looking for your hand. Do I see it go up, Maria? Yes, I see your hand go up. I see 7 votes in favor, and no votes against, and the 2 student advisory votes are, I don't know what you say. They did not vote.
Did not vote.
Abstain.
Abstain. There you go. That's the word I knew I was looking for. Okay, thank you, Trustee Nell, for the conversation.
Sure.
We are now moving to item D, board committee assignments for the January 21 to June 21. It's just half a year. And I'll let Trustee Butler lead us in this. She's done some.
We have the actual.
Did I miss something?
13C.
Oops.
Yes, the most exciting part of the agenda.
No, I know. Except the actuarial analysis, on my error, it's items 13C, except the actuarial analysis of retiree health benefits. And I cut Yancey off at the knees. We'll have to, Yancey, my sincere apology. I know this is what you've been waiting for.
I'm honestly embarrassed to say that my first note is exactly the words that Trustee Mack just noted, that this is the most exciting item of the year. It's these actuarial reports for other post-employment benefits. Every 2 years, GASB, which is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, requires school districts and other public entities to have an actuarial report of what they call other post-employment benefits, or OPEB liabilities. In the case of Nevada Unified, that is our early retiree health benefit costs that we give. Again, that actuarial analysis is done every 2 years and is included in our audited financial statements each year. The actuarial analysis has noted that the Nevada Unified School District's liability has been reduced from $1.4 million as of June 30th, 2018 to $1.2 million as of June 30th, 2020. So that's a little under 1.5% of the district's annual general fund budget. This is funded on a pay-as-you-go method, which means we pay the benefits each year as they come due. The 1.5% of the annual budget of the full liability is on the end where it does not threaten the district's other fiscal decisions, whereas many districts, this liability really impacts their decision, their financial decisions by being so high. So with that, I'm happy to open it up to any questions around the actuarial study presented.
Trustee Nell, do we have any public comment on this item? No, I don't that excited. Just, I was, Trustee Nell, please.
Well, it sort of dovetails into us to our previous conversation where actually, in a way, you have an example here of how retiree benefits can be well managed and controlled. It's a size of debt that we can pay as we go. We can afford it, and it isn't growing exponentially and isn't at risk to market volatility and other natural disasters that could affect our economy. Just a little history. GASB, Yancy, I forgot what it stands for exactly, but these are legislative accounting enactments that, in a way, that were passed 30 years ago that forced organizations like ours to report this information publicly, which led to us having, as a state, to address the pension issues with CalPERS and STRS. But as government moves slowly, I can tell you the passage of the laws that required organizations like yours to report like this incrementally over 30 years finally got to a point where people were able to do the math and figure out that we had a serious problem. We had to address it. So just a small example of how GASB is a good thing and that smart districts can keep things under control if they want. That's my comment.
Other comments? If not, Trustee Nell, do you want to make a motion?
Sure. I'll move to accept the GASB 7475 valuation as of June 30, 2020.
Trustee Aguilar, second. Again, we have an advisory board by the student board members if they choose or not.
So it's just Jada.
Okay. Just Jada? Hey, sticking around, huh? Okay. So I don't hear an advisory vote, so we'll, okay? You're not, okay. So then a board member, seven elected trustees, all in favor of accepting the report, 7 in favor. Marie, do I see your hand in the air? I can't see your, there
Yes.
it is. 7, 0 opposed, it's adopted. Now I get to go to the thing I was most excited about, which is board committee assignments.
Most important.
And most important because Trustee Butler is going to lead us.
I've never had so many items. I never normally have none, so. Before you is the board committees that we usually typically look at the beginning of the school year, but this last school year that we're in, we decided to hold off because we knew we'd have a new trustee joining us with Trustee Cooper stepping down. So we waited till this meeting to bring this before the board and just to review our current assignments, which you have on the second page, all the assignments for trustees, and we've crossed out Tom's name on the ones that he's being taken off. So it's really just a check-in for board members and to fill Tom's vacancies, to see if you're good with what you currently have. And this is through the end of the school year, and we'll revisit board committees again at the beginning of next school year at a fresh start. So where we can even change it up some more if we want to change what we currently are sitting on. So it was really just a check-in again to make sure the times of these meetings you're still able to attend as the representative. There's alternates on some of these. So if you can't attend one of your meetings, just reach out to your alternate to attend. And now that Trustee Jacobson has joined us, just want to check in with you to see if some of the slots that Tom was on, are you interested in possibly filling in on some of those.
I would love to take his Golden Bell Committee spot and Independent Citizens Bond Oversight Committee.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That would be great. Any other board members? Are you good or have conflicts? If you have conflicts, let us know and maybe we can have a board member, another board member fill in. And Julie, Trustee Jacobson is, as we appointed last board meeting, she's taking the Marin County School Boards Association representative position as well.
Trustees in the county.
Yeah.
Good thing.
I see that Tom was in the health benefits when be happy to join in there to help.
Okay.
And then, I see Debbie, you're solo on E2. Do you need an alternate?
I mean, I really don't. I mean, you could even join. I mean, that meeting's kind of open to, if you have an interest in joining or just attending, I can tack you on to that.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Also note the committees that are being terminated because.
Yes, there are two committees that have kind of met their need at this point in time. So you'll see on the backside of the committee list under district appointed committees, it's crossed out Bond Implementation Committee and Technology Advisory Committee. Down at the bottom, those have been crossed out. The work has been completed.
Bond Oversight Committee that's legally required continues.
Continuing,
But
right.
the Implementation Committee, because the funds have been distributed, is.
We pretty much have distributed all the funds from our current bond. But if there is a need for that conversation or a committee to be brought back, we can always do that. But as of right now, that is not needed. And the Technology Advisory Committee was around our One to World implementation, and that has all been implemented. And so their staff is recommending that those be terminated at this point in time.
I see, looks like Trustee Aguila has a question or comment.
Okay.
Yes. So I just wanted to remind you that I co-chair the Golden Bell Committee. And so, so that would be filling Tom's position. But we could also use Julie, so that's wonderful. My question was Julie interested in the District Safety Committee? Because I would like to be the alternate for that, but I wasn't able to hear if
Oh,
she was
because
taking that one.
Tom was an alternate on the District Safety Committee, and we really haven't, that as an as-needed basis, so.
Maria should do that if she'd like to.
Yeah.
So you want to put her down for alternate?
We can put you as an alternate, Maria.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
And then what's the committee that Derek and me and Tom were on for bond projects?
That's the bond implementation, and that's the one that
And
staff is.
that's coming to an end? That's the proposal, the implementation committee is.
Well, actually,
You think it shouldn't be then? Let's talk about it.
well, I mean, Derek was on it, not you. That's why I'm kind of.
I think it's an entirely different
I think so,
subcommittee.
yeah. So the one I'm talking about, I don't think is on here.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
But Tom was on it, so we need to replace it.
It's not on the list.
Okay.
So that's the
What was it called?
superintendent.
Bond what?
I don't know. Yancey, do you recall the name of the
Is it-
the board subcommittee that meets with Mike and it was, I believe, was it Derek, Greg, and Tom?
And Tom, yeah.
And if it's a board subcommittee, then we should take it up.
I don't think he's on there anymore.
Okay. So we can circle back to that.
Like
as
a facilities subcommittee, or it was related
I-
to the bond,
Hey,
okay.
do you remember the goals?
I tried to bring that up earlier, but
Oh.
it's.
Well, I mean, we can
it's-
talk about who might want to fill Tom's spot in it. I mean, if
Yeah,
anybody
let's-
needs to know what it is, like.
Mr.
Sarah
President,
and Tom.
why don't you in agenda planning come up with some
Okay.
kind of find out what it was
Yeah.
and
We'll bring it forward in the next consent item.
Yes. Thank you.
If that's the only
So,
one.
yeah, I apologize for that confusion.
Yeah, if we missed only one out of this, that's great.
So I
Any
guess
other thoughts or?
we can approve it with those changes or
Yeah,
bring
let's
it back
approve it
on,
with those changes, so,
and then it doesn't have to come back on consent,
yeah.
if you're fine, if this board is fine. with it.
Let's leave that one open and we'll bring it back. So I'll
Okay.
do the rest.
Okay.
Okay, so as all the document as written and modified today at the board table, we're going to adopt.
Yep,
isn't it?
with those changes.
Yeah, with those
Yeah.
changes, with any.
Do you want me to make a motion? I'll make a motion.
Debbie moves and
I can second.
Gaston seconds, okay. Gaston second, okay. All in favor? 7-0. Advisory. Yeah, it's just board committees. It's really boring. Jada, good work. Okay, thanks. Okay. Okay, I think we've actually got to the end of we are going to, two things. We're going to adjourn in Hank Morosky's memory, and I have paperwork for every board member to sign for Jen to take on the responsibility of, so she has the authority to work on the programs. So with that, and with nothing else, we're going to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Oh boy, I get to use it. Adjourn. Thank you very much.